Hey fam, since we just left the Paris Climate Accord yesterday, I felt encouraged to record this video to talk about something I've been running into the past few years. Don't worry, I'm moving to a national forest. I'm going to be a tree hugger and really enjoy nature while we still have it because I'm smart. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not a genius. I mean, authors like Ray Bradbury and Aldous Huxley could have predicted with their books and knowledge and genius that we would be coming to an age and period of time as we are experiencing now. But I'm not a genius. I'm just stating to you the facts. I'm just reading it out and following the evidence, cross-referencing and looking at peer-reviewed academic literature and not basing my judgments or conclusions off of some delusional fantasy in my head. For instance, in the past 2 years, I've encountered multiple, notably women, but men too, who base their feelings on the future or the prediction of what will happen climate-wise based off their feelings or a hope for something better. For instance, Mikhaila Peterson, whatever, she's Jordan's daughter. She's okay. I mean, she's got great equipment, so of course she sounds good, and her guests do when they're not on Zoom calls. But she put out this podcast the other day with this, I guess, journalists, scientists, and talking about all the good little achievements that we made. Those are not, and she says her reason for doing that, for providing little anecdotal positive emotion is because she just feels like it. She wants to compartmentalize the information. Because things are getting worse. I mean, we're having record landfall of hurricanes in this season this year. We have the fire season has been out of control. The Philippines being struck, South Korea. I mean, it's everywhere. It's global. An environmental catastrophe is happening literally weekly. So another girl I was talking to, and when I told her how devastating things are going to be, she says, "Oh, don't worry. I think things are going to be all right." What are you basing this off of? I just want to nip this at the core and really prepare you for deep adaptation. You got to start rethinking and reprogramming your mind on how you operate. I need to understand that this is the story that we tell, just like everything. Everything in life is a self-fulfilling prophecy. We tell ourselves this story about ourselves, guides us in some part and propels us into new directions. But take a step back from your consciousness and really observe the person who is observing yourself. I don't know how else to put that. Anyways, your personal opinions or viewpoints don't coincide with the factual nature of reality, and it would be unwise and straight stupid to do so. I mean, what do you gain to benefit by saying, oh, things are going to be all right or better when all of the evidence is pointing to the contrary? What's going to happen? We've exited the Paris Climate Accord. Well, we're going to have an ice-free Arctic within the next decade. The refrigerator of our planet is going to be broken, and thus the jet stream is going to be unrecognizable. Anything we regard as normal weather seasonal patterns are going to be wiped away. Massive crop failure. It's going to crush us. Okay? We're going to have cascading, collapsing infrastructures. Once we have the first blue ocean event, it's going to be the following summer and thereafter when we have a complete total loss of ice sheet. When the Arctic melts, imagine 25 years worth of emissions, or basically 1 trillion tons of CO2 equivalent of heat being blasted upon the planet, which would contribute to an additional solar radiative heating of 0.71 watts per meter squared. We're already at 0.21 watts per meter squared. This will be a huge increase of warming to the planet, which will inevitably put a demise to permafrost and obviously coastal cities. But it's greater than that. The existential threat that we face from abrupt climate change, which happens in a period of few years, is beyond scope and imagination. Okay? Dams will be flooded, so will riverbanks, and generally all of our passageways in which we transport goods and materials. Extreme weather events will decimate our electrical grid and overstress it if it isn't from the heat, but just from the correlative forces of wind and rain and thunder and tornadoes, which, although it isn't clear whether warming increases the frequency or duration of tornadoes, I'm inclined to believe that it has a positive effect on those. But again, that's a feeling, and I'm going to admit that that's a feeling. I know when things are feelings and when things are provided by factual evidence. Go to Greenland, look at the melt, go to the Arctic. I mean, you don't know nothing. You're driving your Beamer in the city and think that everything is fine, but then soon enough you'll be eating dirt and bugs. Okay, there won't be anything to eat. All the items on the shelves at the grocery store, we're going to have diseases much more often. But again, I'm not focusing on the venereal effects of climate change or the virus, increase of contagious and deadly viruses, but more so just the environmental impacts alone will have a cascading, collapsing effect on all other infrastructure and systems that we rely on to survive. So remember this, we're already, depending on what statistic you want to look at, we're already 1.1 degrees Celsius over the pre-industrial average. But that is taking into 1850, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. If we actually went on true warming, for instance, like when we even invented or started using coal or producing carbon emissions, we're really at like you would add 0.3 degrees Celsius on that. So really we're sitting at like 1.4, and the Paris Climate Accord was intended to limit us to 1.5. So we're a hair off, and when the Arctic melts, that's going to set off a cataclysmic bomb on multiple systems of our planet. It's going to cause massive havoc quickly. So look, we left the deal. We could re-enter. I need you to stop compartmentalizing or basing your hope on some delusion that we will create a supercomputer to re-engineer and re-infrastructure all of our energy systems worldwide to get all the vehicles that are emitting carbon emissions off the road, that somehow that will be like a magic pill. We have to not only stop emissions right now, at this minute, but we have to also vacuum all the CO2 out of the atmosphere that's already in it, that we've placed in there, so that it will calibrate. Otherwise, we're just raping the planet. And so the delusion needs to stop, the compartmentalization, the rationalizing, well, this happened every few hundred years, nothing's new. No, we don't survive this, okay? We don't survive this. Or if we do, there's only going to be a few million of us, and we're going to be eating dirt and bugs because that's all there's left to eat. Okay? This should be taken seriously. Is this scary? Yes. It's intended to be scary. But maybe one should start thinking about what they would do to adapt to this, and deep adaptation or what have you. So, thanks for watching. This is a severe situation and an absolute crisis. It affects my future, yours, your children's, and your grandchildren's. It's basically like fighting a world war, and I'm doing it from my camera in my living room. That's all I can do. Okay, thanks for watching, and hope you subscribe. I'll talk to you again soon. Thanks.